Thanks for downloading this week's episode. D-Bot, what's up, dude?
Yo, what's going on, Alex? How you been, brother?
I've been good, man. I'm good. I'm ready to talk some sports with you this week. But before we get started, I got to ask these beautiful people to please give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at WestBoxScore. And don't forget about our compadre, Sonny Hermano. He has a podcast too, right?
Yeah, he does. It's called the Fox Rate Podcast. It's where vinyl meets culture. If we were to put it in 3 words, that's what it is.
Right. That would be our hard pitch, right? Like, go download it right now. You want to hear about vinyl? You want to hear about culture? Boom! Sonny's got you covered on the Fox Crate Podcast. He's also on the IG. He's at the Fox Crate. And also, dude, that Discord is blowing up, right?
Yeah, it is. It's taking off. People really loving it. People loving what we are doing there. People love joining the community that we have, getting to talk LA sports, getting to talk LA life. I know we have a lot of Angelinos in there. Shout out to Brianna, Parker, Nahum, Big Money Matt.
And also former Angelinos now. Shout out to Billy Delgado up there in the area.
Yeah, in the area.
And also, man, I got to ask you to please do us a favor. We have now a referral link to Sailor Brew's coffee, right?
Yes, we do. You get 10% off your first order. We also have a promo code you can enter, WBS10, for 10% off on Sailor's Brew coffee. Really good coffee, like single origin Ethiopian coffee and Jamaica Blue Mountain. Really good. Sailor's Brew coffee, helping you sail through the day's storms. Safe sails, everyone.
Yes, sir. That's some damn good coffee, I got to say. And if you use that code at checkout, you get 10% off your order. You also help this podcast out. So be sure it's a win-win. It's a no-brainer there, guys. Help out your favorite sports podcast, which is this one, West Box Score. Get some delicious Sailor Brew coffee because it is good. It really that taste matters, right? Like,
yes,
it's really, you could tell the difference, man. I'm such a hardcore coffee drinker now that when I drink, like, I used to love McDonald's coffee and I still do in a pinch, right? Over Starbucks. Yeah. But this Sailor Brew, man, it just hits different and it's true. It's good coffee. WBS10 at checkout, 10% off your first order, and you help out this podcast. So please do it when you can. So without further ado, it's time to start this week's show. This episode, gotta say it right off the bat, guys, all MLS Galaxy reopening full capacity episode here, because as we're recording this, the Dodgers were probably are about to get started with their series against the San Diego Padres. And by the time you're listening to this episode, the Dodgers would have already swept them in San Diego. So, are probably not. I gotta say real quick on that front, the Dodgers, the Padres did a bit of a weird move, which is I could respect. I could say they did it earlier in the season where they had a bullpen game, so they could have Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove go against the Dodgers for this week's series. So of course the Dodgers are going to fire back. They got Urias, Kershaw, Bauer. Just an arms race right there for that series. Pretty nuts, right?
Yeah, it's a pitcher's duel in all these games. So you can't. I mean, again, if you're a baseball nut, like, you can't ask for like a better kind of matchup to happen than just like 6 arms going at each other. So that's awesome.
¿Quién es más macho after this series? We'll find out. So obviously we can't really. We could look forward to it, but why bother when you could see it on your own as you're hearing this? Because I could tell you one thing, the Dodgers will take that series. Even with all the injuries on the offensive line. Why? Because I said so. No, just because I hope so. And honestly, me too. The Dodgers have so many bats out of the lineup where it's really anybody's ball game. And anytime the Dodgers and Padres go up against each other, it's must watch. So we'll talk about it next week, because we will be watching, as I'm sure you listening will be watching. So we'll break down what we noticed, what Roberts could have done differently. Why'd you leave him in so long? Why didn't you take him out when you should, So we'll obviously recap that for you next week, this is our recap episode. We got to recap grand reopening day at Dignity House Sports Park, right? D-Bot, you were there, man.
Yes, I was there for the LA Galaxy versus the Seattle Sounders match.
Big matchup already, right?
Yeah, it was a big matchup. Though I was a little disappointed that they didn't put it on national TV. First national game not on national TV.
Yeah, first Galaxy game not on national. Yeah, it's on Spectrum Sports.
So,
But
Oh,
and
wow.
it was a battle of the behemoths, right? Two top of the table teams here.
Pretty much. Yes, it was. It was a really good game to go watch. Would have loved the win. Would have made it better.
Yeah.
But definitely the energy of the crowd was amazing. You totally felt that this was. I mean, again, I didn't get to go to reopening day for the Dodger Stadium, but I would think this is probably a really good, second experience to that. Took me like 15, 20 minutes to finally find parking. So that was amazing. There's things that you miss that, it's kind of like in a weird way, it's like you hope they would not be there. But then when it's there, you're like, oh, that's right. Like I forgot, like I should get here a lot earlier. But it was great. I loved it. I thought it was great. The experience, the fans, the supporter sections being alive, just everything. It took 20 minutes to get the food at halftime. I was like, yes, like, we're getting back to normal. You know what I mean? COVID-19 is getting behind us, so it's just those little things that you hate and love. So.
I love how glass half full D-Bot is here on all this, man. These are all things I hated before COVID, and I loved during the partial reopenings that the parking was a little bit easier to get in. The stadium wasn't as full. You could spread out your legs at your seats a little bit more. Not anymore. COVID's been defeated. Man. We've beaten the invisible enemy. It's over. The COVID doesn't exist anymore.
I had people walking up and down the stairs, blocking the view every couple of minutes. You know what I mean? There was a lady with her baby that would not stop crying. She thought her brilliant idea was, let me walk up and down the stairs with the baby so that he could maybe stop crying. Because maybe it's because I'm sitting still. And it's like, yeah, lady, go ahead and do that. Like, I would love my view to be blocked every couple of minutes, and not see how the foul happened. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. Oh my god, dude! These are my nightmares. These are my nightmares. I'm glad we're reopened.
To tell you that even the guy that it's his job to sell that cotton candy, it eventually added to the experience. It was kind of like, really, come on, you're gonna sell cotton candy right now after this lady passed up and down with her baby. This other family just is walking by too. It was funny. I was like, oh wow. Yeah, we're back.
It's a series of unfortunate events right there in your seat location there, man. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. That sucks. But yeah, right. You're looking at it half positively, half glass half full as you are. We're back. It's positive now. We're getting back to some normalcy. I mean, just look at the slate of sports that we have, right? Like, so everything's back up and running.
Yeah.
Everything. We have our MLS back up from the international break. So going into this game, right, we knew it was going to be a tough slate against the top of the table team, right?
Yes.
Going into this game, I think Galaxy were third maybe on the table.
I believe,
So, I mean, obviously, and they were undefeated at home, right?
Yeah.
Overall, Seattle undefeated, Galaxy undefeated at home. Something's got to give, or a draw. And right away, the Galaxy, they draw a penalty. Chicha doing what he does, going down easy in the box as a good little guy as he's supposed to do. Draw that penalty, man. That penalty. And Sasha Klechkin, man, giving it up for the old guys, man, burying the PK.
He still got it.
Yeah, the old guy still got it. He's never lost it, baby. So big ups to the Galaxy for getting the lead, right? Right away we think, dude, that's it. We're gonna play with some momentum. Set piece though. Set piece is what bit the Galaxy on that first goal that Seattle scored. A really clean header into the net. And man, then Rudias doing what Rudias does in the second half, man. Just finding the loose ball there off another set piece. And so two set pieces cost the Galaxy. Go ahead, D-Bot.
Yeah, no, and it's kind of interesting because the first goal, I mean, again, there was a lot of things that were happening that, I mean, the stadium was feeling it with the refs. Like, it was insane. That first goal obviously was Jonathan Bond going for the ball, which looked like it was already out of play. It was on its way to be out of play. And as a goalkeeper, he said, let me catch the ball because it's a goal kick, like at this point. But because the ball, I guess, hadn't touched the floor yet, and he caught it midair, as it was already out of play, it was already over the line. The ref said, "Oh no, because you grabbed it and now you're out of bounds. We're giving this a corner." And that's what became the first goal, which was,
goal came,
So of course, like the stadium's really pissed because they're like, dude, like the ref, you suck, ref. Like the ball was already going out of bounds. Like, why did you do this? And then that happened. The second goal, same thing, set piece. I clearly remember it because I was on stand 6 waiting for my pizza because that's how crazy these lines were. It was insane that it took 20 minutes to get my food. And I was like, oh, great, I missed the other goal live in my seat, and I watched it on the teleprompter. But yeah, Rui Diaz, man, I mean, that guy's a disruptor. And I was kind of like, well, we'll see. And I thought it was like the 55th minute. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. Like, at least I'll come back and I'll watch the comeback, and it'll happen in front of me because the goal is now in my side. Yeah. But that didn't happen. And the thing is that the Galaxy had chances, man. Like, that's what was kind of getting frustrated is the Galaxy had chances. After that second goal, it felt like Seattle had the strategy of just doing soft fouls. Like, let's just foul them softly so we don't get carded. But it also gets called and it kills the time. So then they started kind of really killing the time. And
momentum, right? And momentum, right? Like,
it did.
Everything.
It just stopped everything. And then the Galaxy just didn't really have much to give. But they had opportunities, man. It was just like, man, it was kind of frustrating to see that there was an opportunity to at least draw this match, which I think overall was kind of like the result we were all hoping for. Obviously, in the second half, fans were not as energetic outside the supporter groups. And it's just because we were all nervous. We were all nervous because we felt like, the Galaxy aren't really putting this ball in play to get the goals. And then on top of that, having to deal with the officiating. There was one play where, like, I want to say it was Grand Seer. I might have been wrong. Gets a clean look and he shoots it. And obviously their goalkeeper, and credit to the Seattle goalkeeper, he was really doing good. He had he was really blocking everything. Seattle goalkeeper blocks it, and then the ref immediately calls it an offside. Like, kind of like saying, like, oh, like you were going to be offside, right? And it was like a second after the kick, and it just felt like, dude, like, ref, if you're going to just call it offside from the beginning, call it offside from the beginning. Don't do it like after the kick was made, because then it would have made it feel like, oh, if a goal would have happened, then it would have been disallowed. So there's just a lot of things that were kind of frustrating, but at the same time, like, you could tell there was like the stadium got a little tense, and it's because it's Seattle, and it's like this whole like feeling of like, man, like Seattle is just so good. They're very calculated. They definitely knew how to kill that time at the end. And even though the Galaxy did what they could, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And now we'll see what happens with this team moving forward.
Seattle is a top MLS team for a reason, right? They know how to play the MLS style to their favor. They know what these little tic-tac moves, right, with the refs, how to use the refs to their advantage. I'm not saying it's like they didn't deserve the win. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying they just know how to play the game to their favor, and that's what makes them so good. So more power to them. They got a win that they fully deserved. But I also feel like, to your point, the Galaxy also deserved a better result, at least a draw to your favor, because they were making chances. And as Galaxy fans, I think we could say from this is there's still potential, right? Even with this loss, didn't get the points, a point even.
Yeah.
So there's still hope. There's still light at the end of this dark tunnel after this bad result.
They had a couple good shots on goal. I mean, overall, to me, just from it being a 3-week break, it looked like the Galaxy are for sure going to the playoffs. It's just they might just not be the kind of team that might beat a Portland or Seattle in a playoff match. But if it were to be, Galaxy versus Earthquakes, or Galaxy versus I don't know, any other team in the West that's not like the top 3, they're gonna be able to get through it. They're really talented. They're pretty stacked, and I think they got the strategy to do it, to pull it off. But I think the overall thing is that obviously you're playing Seattle, and it's just it's at the end of the day, it's like the best you're gonna be playing this whole season. So that's
right. And they're the measuring stick right now. Let's be honest, right? That's what you want to see, how you stack up against the best MLS has to offer, and that's definitely Seattle at the moment for sure. So you want to see where you are. And as we sit right now in the middle of June, the Galaxy are not there yet. Not to say that they can't get there at some point, right? Because what did Chicha say in his press conference? That they need time to gel.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am seeing a lot on Galaxy Twitter, a lot of hate toward Kevin Cabral. What were your takeaways from his performance at this match?
To me, he still looks like the same player from the first match that he played. It doesn't look like he's really connecting the way I think people were hoping that he connect, like that he would click. The way people were hoping he would click, especially being the new addition that's supposed to be anytime you bring a new player in, the idea is that he's supposed to be kind of the solution to a certain issue, whether it's wings, whether it's, center back, whatever. And it just feels like it's the same guy from the first match that's still learning how to play, like kind of still learning when he should already be in some sort of, like, the chemistry should have been already somewhat built at this point. So it just feels like he hasn't really moved the needle, which is why a lot of Galaxy fans are getting frustrated with his performance on the field.
That's disappointing. And what about Sega Kulabe? I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about.
New center back, Sega Kulabale, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah. I mean, again, the defense, 2 set-piece goals. The defense, for the most part, did a good job of really clearing the ball and getting that. And definitely it did help to have that center back there, to have an extra center back to help out. I think Vanni went with a 4-2-2-2 lineup this time. So he definitely felt like, we're going to have to make sure our boxes are taken care of. But yeah, I think the defense, I would say, is a little bit better now. But again, this is just one game and it's against the best team. So it's always hard to measure it outside of one game. So we'll see. I kind of feel like he has still some time to kind of really impress and to really do better. But I can't say the same for Cabral right now. But I'm not hating on Cabral. I'm just saying, I don't know what gel or what thing that Chicha was saying. What is he talking about in terms of with the forwards? Because it's not really happening right now.
Yeah, he's saying the entire team. He was probably praising Seattle, right? While this team has been together for so long, that's why they're so good. And the Galaxy have players who are just learning the MLS himself, only in his second season. So he's still learning the MLS, style of play as well. So and also on the defensive front, obviously Sega Coulibaly is new to the center back role, but Dan Steris goes down early in that game too. So that's when Nick Dupuis came in, and so now we're definitely lacking depth in the center back role. Obviously, Derek Williams still serving a 5-game suspension. So it's just Bond is going to have to keep being Bond. Yeah. And we ask so much of him back there, being the brick wall that he is, but it's just a matter of man, you got to help him. You got to give him some help back there.
Yeah. I think for the most part, this is going to be a situation where it's just a matter of the scheduling favoring the Galaxy. If they got some easy teams or nothing easy, but just some teams that, you can put away, that would definitely help you. As long as you're not playing Seattle in the next 2-3 weeks, you're probably good. So, yeah.
Cool. They're playing against Seattle. They're playing it in Seattle next week. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Geez.
That would suck. No, they're actually midweek game, their first midweek game of the season here. They're going to Vancouver in quotation marks. Canada's still not open for the MLS teams yet. So they're going to Salt Lake City, Utah's home stadium is going to be the host for this Vancouver Whitecaps versus L.A. Galaxy match, 7:30 kickoff time, again on Spectrum. And then they go up to San Jose for the Cali Clásico rematch. So it starts getting tough again. That's 2 games. That's 3 games in the course of 1 week, 7-day period. So I don't know if what Steris' injuries is going to look like, if he'll be able to suit up for that one. Definitely, it's going to be a tough trek. These next 2 games are going to be tough. That's the only good thing, is that they have a game against Vancouver, which is not a team that's lining up the standings right now.
No.
So you kind of hope they can get well there. LA's other team was in action too. Full capacity stadium at the Bank, right, D-Bot?
Yeah, they were alive over there. All
52 of them.
All 32, 52. Yeah, they were all there. So this game, I actually was listening to it on the radio on the way back because this game was at 8, and that's kind of around the time the Galaxy game had it. I think the Galaxy game ended like at 8:06, 8:05. They gave 7 minutes of extra time in the second half, but I was able to listen to the game at LAFC on the drive back from Carson all the way to downtown Los Angeles. Shout out to Dave Denholm, who's the play-by-play over there at the 11:10 a.m. And I kind of just was kind of listening and watching the game through his announcing. And he does a really good job for being one guy by himself doing it. He doesn't have a color guy. He's both the play-by-play and color guy. And he really carries it really well.
Wow.
It's like, why? It's like, man, like you're doing both jobs and you don't even sound like you're stressed or anything. I think he really enjoys like talking like live soccer. But the LAFC versus Houston Dynamo match, for the most part, the first half was kind of flat. 0-0. It was an 0-0 half. The second half is kind of where the game started. LAFC scored their first goal. Cifuentes made it at the 50th minute. It was a corner. No, it wasn't a corner kick. It was a cross that went. I believe it was a corner kick. It crossed over. Cifuentes was there. It like kind of landed on his chest, and then he just kicked it in. And then the crowd went wild. And then Houston, 8 minutes later, countered back. Maximiliano Urruti also scored. He just took a shot in the box. And I did see the LAFC's defender try to, try to block it, but it went over the guy's foot, went inside the box.
Oh, wow.
Kind of a bit of a flub on the LAFC's defense there. They just didn't clear the ball. But outside of that, the rest of the game was kind of flat. It just kind of went all the way to the end. It felt like it was a bit of a repeat of the last time LAFC played Houston at Houston. So it just felt like you watched the same match all over again.
LAFC putting out a rerun on their YouTube TV channel, then it sounds like, man. No, but it was great, man. I saw a lot of social media posts by celebrities who were at this game yesterday, but they're like, "Oh, we're happy soccer is back to full capacity." I'm like, "Oh, of course." Shields for LAFC, of course. A lot of social media posts being made that we're back shoulder to shoulder. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Enjoy, man. Enjoy.
I did chime into LAFC Twitter for a bit. And they
as you're wont to do, man. You're a big star on that LAFC Twitter.
I feel like now that I'm a podcaster, I it's funny. The things you do for your show.
Exactly.
So I got in, and I mean, a lot of them were just frustrated given the 1-1 draw. They were just saying this is ridiculous. This was like, again, what I had said earlier. A lot of them were saying the same thing. Like, this felt like you were watching the game, that match all over again from weeks ago. I think a lot of people are getting really frustrated with Bob Bradley as far as like the creativity, like the ideas. Some people were concerned about Vela. Like, they were like, is Vela still like, does he still want to do this? Of course, Rossi had a couple good shots. And, I mean, people are getting mad with Rossi and whether he's still, especially because now Rossi's getting interest, supposedly. There's rumors that he's getting interest from European teams. So, you got that. Their new acquisition was doing a lot better, though. I know he came in, I believe, in the, Kim Moon Hwan.
Right.
He came in on the 78th minute. So he played the last 20 minutes. And he definitely made a difference out there, and a lot of people felt that like he should be starting, Moon should be starting, and that was pretty cool to see that there's a bit of optimism there with the roster, because a lot of these guys on Twitter are like really, I don't know if it's they just feel that they feel that this team is getting stale in their eyes, but I guess the only thing that would change that is winning, and I don't know. I think that even the draws are starting to get to the fan base for the most part. Like, it's starting to become like okay, like whatever.
They spoiled them too early, and now they're going to get very fickle on them really fast. Which I mean, this is me being a bit of a hater, but no. In all seriousness, man, that's the one thing I think you could say as from the outside observer looking into this fan base, to this franchise as a whole. Is if you're worried about Vela and you're worried about losing Diego Rossi, which you might lose Diego Rossi soon, right? You sell him, right? Make a big profit. Obviously, you can sign a bigger player afterwards because he's really good. and he should let him go to a big European club and see what he can do there. That'd be exciting to see. And if Vela really is losing interest, then of course you let him walk too. And then you see that they have good scouting to bring in good players right behind them in this free agent acquisition in Moon. So, I mean, I am always going to be worried about LAFC because of their ability to scout more so than anything else. We get on them about the branding and like the whole fakeness of them, and that's all obviously sports fans being sports fans and being dumb in all of our hijinks. But as far as like an actual sports fan who's watching games, they are a threat, and you have to see them as that because they have a good football club that they put out there onto the pitch. Yeah. So you have to like keep an eye on them and see like they could still be worrisome no matter, even if they lose a Carlos Vela, even if they lose a Diego Rossi, they'll find somebody else.
Yeah, and it seems like they're gonna also be leveraging their Las Vegas minor team club. I'm seeing that they are sending players from their roster to them to go play over there in the USL, which again helps develop. And I think if they start utilizing that more, and if they're smart about it, like if they kind of do have like a good farm system going in Vegas, then obviously that's always another batch of players you can pick from outside of the outside signings.
So LAFC, after this draw with Houston Dynamo, they also have a midweek game against FC Dallas, in which I believe they are hosting FC Dallas, Bank of California Stadium. Full capacity again for that one midweek. I'm sure you'll probably, if you're there in the 3252 yelling and screaming, you might see our own Sonny Mano out there at some point. I'm sure he might be out there midweek cheering on the black and gold. And they got Sporting Kansas City on that following Saturday. So again, the MLS schedule's ramping up now, making up for the international break that they gave the teams. So we're getting some midweek games, right, D-Bot?
Yeah, we are. And I know with midweek, it's always interesting because this is where you start to see like who has the better depth. Because it's not even just the fact that they're playing Wednesday. There's like a Sunday or Saturday game coming for some of these teams. Like literally, like right after. I think both teams have a Sunday game. LAFC has a Saturday game.
Both have Saturday games.
Oh, both have Saturday games. So yeah, it's a quick turnaround. So this is where the depth comes in, and we'll see who's made of what. So.
Oh yes, we will. Current Golden Boot race. Because you guys are always worried about this, I'm sure. Chicharito and Ruidíaz now tied at 7.
Eesh.
They are now tied at 7. Chicha, where are you? You're our only hope.
Yeah.
We need you to get back on the score sheet. I think it's been about 3 games now where he hasn't scored.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a minute, Chicha. We're looking for you. We're going to put you on the side of a milk carton real soon. Get you back on that score sheet, man. But that's going to be it for us this week. We'll recap next week about all these games that are coming up for our LA teams, the Galaxy and LAFC. We'll also recap that NLDS rematch between the Dodgers and Padres for you next week. But that's it for us this week. See ya.
Later.